Welcome, Dolphins fans, haters, and everyone in between to your favorite show, discussing the greatest franchise in sports, the Miami Dolphins. This is the PhinsPod. My name is Moose, your host, and we have a trade, ladies and gentlemen. The Carolina Panthers have acquired what could be their franchise quarterback, and scoff now, but we all know that the Jets, and more specifically Adam Gase, can ruin a young quarterback's career. Sam Darnold is now a Panther, and tragically, that's bad news for the Dolphins on a few fronts. We're going to talk about that and more. Let's dive in.
Shefty, we've been waiting to see how this would play out. How did it get where it got yesterday?
Essentially, Greeny, I think that the Jets all along were enamored with Zach Wilson. And I think that they were talking to teams and had conversations with about a half dozen teams over the last couple of months regarding a potential Sam Darnold trade. But the team in the end that seemed the most interested was the Carolina Panthers. And in the end, when the Panthers offered 3 picks, I think that made the Jets' decision rather simple. The Jets could have held on to Sam, but what if Carolina went a different direction? What if the Panthers decided we're going to draft one of these quarterbacks? What if they decided they were going to trade for Deshaun Watson? What if they went in a different direction? Then the Jets wouldn't have the team that was most aggressive on Sam Darnold. We talked yesterday about all the teams that had dried up in terms of having a glaring quarterback need. We were down to basically Carolina, Denver. Yes, there are other teams with significant quarterback questions, but how many of them were going to make a significant play for Sam Darnold?
So the Panthers made a surprising move and acquired Sam Darnold from the Jets. And to do so, they followed the Josh Rosen model a little bit. They gave a bit more, understandably. I believe Darnold did a lot more than Rosen ever did in his career. But the Jets received a 2021 6th-round pick from the Panthers, as well as Carolina's 2022, next season's, 2nd and 4th-round selections. So it's pretty much a 2nd-round pick and change, a 4th and a 6th on top. But this year, they're not going to really get much. So the Jets are really kind of prolonging all this draft capital. They're going to have multiple picks this year in the first round, as well as next year. So remember, the Jets traded up from 6 to 3 overall back in 2018 to get Darnold. So this is a sunk cost for them overall. He was obviously not good, but neither were the Jets as a whole. And regardless, both teams and Sam himself really get to start anew now. For the Jets, they officially move on from their starting quarterback, signaling that they are going to be selecting a clear replacement 2nd overall. And that's not surprising. But this trade clearly just sets that in stone. Now we know it for a fact. They don't have a quarterback right now. So the Jets are taking Zach Wilson. We're going to have to deal with Diet Pat Mahomes for a few years now, and I'm not really a fan of that. Now, I do believe Flores is going to be able to confuse the kid, and he is going to struggle against Miami's complicated defenses early on. But if the joke Jets can actually get their shit together, and Joe Douglas seems to be following Chris Greer's model, acquiring a lot of picks, sort of tanking a little bit in terms of letting go of bad contracts and kind of resetting. Now, can he make the same decisions that Chris Greer did to help elevate the team? We'll see. But if they can get their act together with Zach Wilson, then I totally see him being the guy to make them relevant again. We'll get into all this in the coming weeks as we break down each position group specifically in the draft, as well as the best prospects and the rankings. But here's a little teaser on what we think of Zach Wilson. He's got all the arm talent in the world. He's a more athletic Drew Lock type in the sense that his arm is just extremely powerful and he can just straight launch it. It's a cannon coming from him. Zach Wilson at all angles plays like Mahomes with that style, got a bit of that Drew Lock flair too, and he plays with that same energy that Lock showed. Obviously, we don't really know what happened as Lock regressed, but it's sort of what we saw from Lock as a rookie. I really think that play style is what you're going to get from Wilson, and that's pretty good. Just don't ask him to do too much at the next level too soon. And I know the Lock comparison's a bit random, but I wouldn't really give him the same, props as Mahomes. He's not nearly at the same level as Mahomes. And listen, if he was at that level, then Zach Wilson would be a Jaguar, not a Jet. So he could be a Josh Allen type, so we could be dealing with a couple of those. Big body, strong arm. not super consistent regarding accuracy, but definitely can make plays on the move and just difficult to deal with. And the Dolphins defense has previously struggled to contain these mobile style quarterbacks with those cannon arms. So hopefully the Fins should be better on that front in 2021. They need to be. They're competing with those teams. So if they want to be a contender, you have to be able to stop quarterbacks who have strong arms, who can launch it from any angle at any part of the field to another part of the field, as well as be mobile. So you can't, blitz, because if he gets away from the blitz, it's over for you. So why does the fact that the Panthers getting Darnold, leaving the Jets, affect the Dolphins, considering, the Dolphins and Jets are AFC East rivals and the Panthers are in the NFC? What's the deal? Well, now, beyond, him no longer throwing multiple interceptions against the Dolphins, as he would like to do, we're going to miss that, Sam, but the Panthers are no longer in the running to draft a quarterback later this month. They not only traded for Sam Darnold himself, but they picked up his fifth-year option. That's worth nearly $20 million. And they also have Teddy Bridgewater on the roster, so they're clearly invested at the position. Definitely an interesting direction to take their franchise, especially considering where they are in their life cycle. They're pretty young. But I guess that they believe that Darnold really can be reformed, and he's young enough where if he does take the steps they think he can, well, then they've kind of accelerated their rebuild. But hey, if Adam Gase proved anything with Tannehill, it was that he was clearly suppressing him and his overall talent. And then we saw RT17. He went and flourished in Tennessee since, so maybe Darnold's going to do something similar. Listen, Sam has all the talent in the world. We saw that flash with the dumpster fire Jets at points. He made some great throws. He has touch, arm strength, sneaky mobility. He's really athletic and really great pocket presence. Not to mention, he really didn't get any talent around him. So anywhere else is going to be an upgrade. He really could revitalize that career in Carolina. I'm just curious what the Panthers now do at the position going forward if Darnold really is that guy. Regardless, it does make little sense now that the Panthers would trade up to take a quarterback. So do the Dolphins have lost another partner? Is that the deal here? Did they lose a trade back partner? Yes. If the Panthers hadn't acquired Darnold, they were considered a likely candidate to be an aggressive move-up team. Hey, they're going to go up and get their guy. They're looking to make a splash with that new owner, with that new coach, with Matt Rule coming in last year, showing promise. Now they just need a quarterback to really take that next step. That doesn't seem to be the case anymore. But hey, not all hope is lost. Consider this. There's still a few teams in the teens and later on who may want to take a chance on either, say, Trey Lance or Justin Fields, whoever it is that may still be sitting at 6. So the Dolphins still have a shot to maximize the value of their current position right now. Teams like the Broncos at 9, they might want to move up to combat a trade. Maybe the Vikings, for example, want to move up, or the Bears, or even the Saints come up to the Dolphins spot because someone fell. Maybe the Dolphins could make it work with a team like the Broncos, right? But the Panthers were that team. They were at number 8, and they likely would have been in the conversation at the very least, upping the price of that 6 overall position and helping Miami's trade value. Now that they've acquired Sam, that seems to be less likely, and that impacts the trade value. But not only, and more importantly, it also is going to remove a potential trade partner for the 4th overall selection. And now let's be fair. The Falcons at pick 4 were not likely to actually deal with their division rival Panthers and actually help them land a quarterback to play against the Falcons twice a year. But the fact that the Panthers were interested and that other teams knew that, it made sure that other teams were more likely want to go up and secure their guy. It just added more competition to the market, which benefited Miami, a team that was not looking to get a quarterback. So now that we sit in a spot where the Falcons may not find a partner, ever since Darnold was traded, notice how we've started hearing reports that the Falcons actually want to trade back, as do the Lions. It's because teams now know that they need to stir up a bit of a market because that market's gone, because the Panthers are off of it. And who's going to actually trade up from the teens all the way to 4 when they know that that quarterback's probably going to fall anyway, and neither of those teams are going to take one? So why does it matter, though, what Atlanta does so much for Miami? Well, it's simple. They pick 2 spots ahead, and the position that they choose to go in is going to have consequences the rest of the way for the draft. For example, if 1, 2, and 3 quarterbacks go, right, and the Falcons are sitting there at 4, and they make the responsible choice and pick Penei Sewell, well, That guarantees that the Bengals are likely to select either Pitts or more likely Jamar Chase. That's good for Miami because you get one of those guys, right? If the Falcons choose, however, to help their offensive attack even more, which is unlikely, it's a little bit greedy, then they could go either Pitts or Chase to help pair with Julio Jones, Russell Gage, as well as Calvin Ridley. If the Bengals do make the dumb pick after and then go receiver as well, then Miami's stuck and they don't actually get their pick of the litter of top pass catchers. And they might end up taking Sewell, which isn't a bad consolation. But considering Miami's needs right now, I think most of you guys would agree you would want the Phins to get their hands on at least Chase. Devonta Smith is obviously an option there. But considering having Pitts and Chase, you would at least like to get one of those two. In my opinion, the Falcons should do the smart thing for their franchise and take either Penei Sewell to help Matt Ryan in the twilight of his career. If you think you can still win with him, make a couple playoff runs. Quarterbacks are playing, Brady's proven it, into their 40s. Why can't Matt Ryan play until he's at least 40? That's another 4 or 5 years. Or the Falcons could take the quarterback of the future. I know that the Falcons restructured Matt Ryan this offseason, but let's be real. They hired the Titans offensive coordinator as their new head coach, who's a guy who relies a lot, based on the Titans offense, on the running game and play action, and a quarterback who can move on the bootleg and potentially be a viable threat in the running game, similar to what Ryan is capable of, Ryan Tannehill. But you're telling me that they want to be picking this high up again, that the Falcons were like, look, we want to help Matt Ryan, but they know that if things go well, they shouldn't be picking this high. And for that reason, I think they should take someone, I think a lot of people believe this, to develop behind Matt Ryan, whether that be Justin Fields, Trey Lance, whoever sort of falls at that spot. And considering Adam Schefter believes that the 49ers are going to take Mac Jones at number 3 overall, that means that the Falcons can get their pick of either Trey Lance or Justin Fields. However, if you actually think about this a little bit deeper, there is a new regime in Atlanta. No longer is there those coaches and that GM, I forget his name, the dude with that great hair in Atlanta for like a long time. He was there for like 10 years. I don't know how he lasted so long. But they know, this new regime knows, that drafting a quarterback immediately, if they took one this year at number 4, it begins the countdown. The timer starts ticking. If that quarterback fails, that's tethered to you and your regime. Unless you're Howie Roseman in Philly, your time's likely up. So why rush it? Why take a quarterback and start that timer prematurely when you don't really have to, right? The Dolphins in year 1 with Flores didn't feel the need to rush it and take a quarterback. They evaluated their roster. The Falcons can do the same. They can assess their roster with a veteran quarterback and see where things stand, right? And make a move next year or maybe down the road when their backs are up against it and maybe Matt Ryan hasn't proven to be fruitful or his career really starts to decline. If that is what ends up happening and the Falcons ride this out and don't take a quarterback here, then yeah, Miami may not actually end up getting the guy in terms of a pass catcher at the top of their list. So what should we want as fans of the Dolphins? As Dolphins fans, what is the best case scenario? Well, I'll tell you what I want. And please share in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube. But I would love personally for the Falcons to find a trade partner from 4 and move out. That would just help Miami because, of course, if a quarterback's taken ahead, that just pushes all the real talent further down. And considering Miami gave up a first-round pick to move up from pick 12 to number 6, you really hope that the Dolphins can get their hands on a premier-level player. And if the Falcons are kind of forced because the market isn't there to take a guy because they want to trade out, but they can't really, so they're just going to take best player available, well, that means they're taking best player available, one less player for Miami, which is unfortunately a problem. So if a team like the Broncos, which I know they just took Drew Lock and I just spoke highly of him, but clearly that isn't always that doesn't appear to be working with there. Maybe they're going to give him one more year. I would expect it, but I'm just hoping here maybe the Broncos or the Vikings potentially can move up to ensure that they get their quarterback at pick number 4. That way, Miami's essentially going to have the second pick of the draft in that case, and that move up from 12 to 6 is worth it. And maybe that guy will pan out and make that loss of a first-round pick next year worth it.
Albert Breer saying that the Falcons have had exploratory talks, quotes,
yes,
with teams interested in acquiring the 4th overall pick.
I don't know about that. It was exploratory talks. They're just exploratory.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
You're not having talks if you're not thinking about it.
No, you have to do your due diligence. Let's just say Arthur Smith thinks Mac Jones is the apple of his eye. right?
Oh, goodness.
Let's just say that, all right? Let's just say the guy that literally 2 weeks ago, everybody thought maybe Belichick takes a flyer on him at 15.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you can go fly a kite on him, right? Let's just say Mac Jones is the apple of Arthur Smith's eye, and you're sitting here thinking that's the guy for sure that Shanahan's taking. So if that happens, you're sitting there in Cleveland, Ohio, you need a plan B. You need a plan B ready in your top right-hand drawer of your desk. You need that plan B ready to go. Plan B is an exploratory talk on April 5th about who wants 4, who wants Lance, who wants Fields, if that happens. Or you're not into any of these 3 guys. You're Arthur Smith. You're not into it. What do you want to do? Or you have basically said in your meetings, Matt Ryan's our guy for at least the next 2-3 years.
Yep.
Arthur Blank has chimed in on it. Everybody's chimed in on it. He's our guy. Contractually, he's our guy. He's young enough. He's our guy. We believe in him. I've been brought in here to do for him what I've done everywhere else I've gone. This is what I'm going to do. And we need a ton of help, don't we?
Ton.
What do? We have an exploratory talk at 4.
Thank you guys so much for listening to the PhinsPod. That's going to do it for us here today. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you want more of the show, check us out on Patreon. Not only does it help support us, keep us going, but for literally minimum $2 a month, you can listen to bonus episodes, and the site over there has some other goodies as well. Links in the description on YouTube, or head over to patreon.com/PhinsPod. Thank you all so much for the support, and please remember to like the video if you enjoyed the show, and subscribe wherever it is you're listening, just so you never miss a chance to chat about your Miami Dolphins. Remember that the pod is available on all platforms: Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts, and of course, YouTube. Continue the conversation with us as well over on Twitter and Instagram at PhinsPod, and of course, recently launched on TikTok. Got some great stuff there. If you're into TikTok, check us out at PhinsPod there, and the site PhinsPod.com for news and content as well. I hope you all have an amazing day, and until next time, stay safe. Love y'all.